There's a government shutdown, but with lawmakers looking to strike a deal to potential mass firings, Washington is as busy as ever.
To help us make sense of it all, we are joined by News Nation contributors Mick Mulvaney and Cillizza. Guys, good morning to both of you. So glad to have you with us. Give us your takeaways, your quick takeaways from a government shutdown now 2 days into this. Mick, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the coverage has been pretty good. I think one of the things folks have missed out on is the timing. Federal workers, most of them got paid a couple days ago. Technically, they would be working today without getting paid anyway. The real sort of rubber meets the road at the next pay period, which is about 12 days out right now. So I think the members of the House and the Senate have sort of got that 12-day window to work at things. It's when people are supposed to get paid and don't get paid that things sort of start to get real. My guess is, because this is the way Washington has worked over the last several shutdowns, that the party that is asking for something as leverage, in this case the Democrats, will be the party that eventually gives in and delivers the votes for the CR. That doesn't mean you lose, by the way. We gave in 2019 after the 35-day shutdown. We wanted more money for border security when I was in the Trump administration. We didn't get it, but we don't feel like we lost that shutdown because we were able to convince our base that we cared about immigration. We made immigration a big topic, and we knew that we had sort of convinced people that we cared about immigration. And the Democrats could sort of claim victory here the same 10 days from now. They could say they made health care an issue. They can satisfy their base, and they can still vote for the clean CR. So I think at the end of the day, this lasts less than 14 days, and you end up with a clean CR. And my guess is Cillizza agrees with every single piece of that.
Chris, what do you think?
I make it a policy to agree with Mick because he's smarter than me. Yeah, I think that's probably about right. I would say Donald Trump is sort of turning the screws this morning on Truth Social, sending out a note saying that he is meeting with Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought. He of Project 2025 fame, those are Donald Trump's words, basically saying, what Democratic programs can we cut? And saying, I can't believe Democrats gave me this opportunity to get rid of all this stuff. So that will make more Democrats nervous, I think, because that was always the fear. Remember, the reason that the government didn't shut down back in March, Chuck Schumer's stated reason was, well, we don't want to give Elon Musk and Donald Trump sort of free rein to get rid of programs without the government being open. That feels like 100 years ago, but it's still the same kind of conversation that's happening now. I'm with Mick. I don't think we're a day or two away from the shutdown ending. At the same time, I'd be surprised if we got anywhere near the 2019 shutdown of 35 days. I also think there's polling all over the place on this. You know, everybody's got a poll they can cite that says, well, see, this side's going to get blamed more, that side's going to get blamed more. I think this is more about Democrats and Chuck Schumer in particular showing that they are willing to fight Donald Trump even for 10 days than it's going to sort of, drastically impact what happens in the midterm elections.
Mick, there are about 450,000 federal workers who live here in the D.C. area, but 80% of federal workers actually live across the country and not just in blue cities and blue states. About, 130,000 in Texas, 95,000 in Florida. Could this shutdown backfire for Republicans if a large number of these federal workers are furloughed or even fired?
No, not really. To Chris's point, there are a lot of polls out there about who gets blamed or, who do you think is responsible, et cetera, et cetera. But what nobody ever asks is the follow-up question, which is, does it change how you feel about your next voting in the midterm elections? No one ever votes based upon a midterm election. And keep in mind that unless every single shutdown in previous history is different than this one, all those folks are going to get paid eventually anyway. It is a real inconvenience. I get it. It's more than an inconvenience. It's a problem if you're supposed to get paid on the 15th of the month and you don't. I get that. That's why I think this thing only lasts less than 14 days, because that's when the next pay period is for the next round of federal workers. But no one's not going to get paid. So again, we've done this before. I'm actually surprised we have this discussion because there's such an established pattern of how these things work. There will be a shutdown. It will be, probably 14 days. Everybody's going to get paid, and then we'll move on and have a discussion about, I guess, healthcare moving forward.
Dynamic different this time around because, as Chris mentioned, I want to pull up this Truth Social post from President Trump. We're not just talking about furloughs, which is obviously important. We're talking about people losing their jobs permanently. And the president posted that, I have a meeting with Russ Vogt, him of Project 2025 fame, to determine which of many Democrat agencies, most of which are political scam, he recommends to be cut. So I hear your point. These folks are ultimately going to get paid. But what is the fallout, any potential fallout, when it comes to people actually losing their jobs? And Judy, you had a number, 4 in 10 federal workers voted for Donald Trump?
Voters, yeah.
I mean, I think.
Look, the layoffs have actually
Nick.
started real quickly. Real quickly, the layoffs started apparently yesterday. There was a mass layoff at the U.S. Patent Office. They laid off 140 people out of 14,000. So it's 1%. I just don't see a big enough number here to move any needles in any elections.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, and the only thing I will add is I'm with Mick generally. Do I think voters in Minnesota are going to be swayed by this? I just picked Minnesota. Probably not. The only thing I will note is we do have elections in, I'm looking at my calendar, about a month in Virginia, which, as you guys have been talking about, does have a lot of federal workers. Look, I think Abigail Spanberger, the former member of Congress, the Democrat, is barring a cataclysm, likely to win. It could, if there are widespread cuts in a or several federal agencies in this period where the government is shut down, could that throw a wrench? And I don't even know who it helps and who it hurts, but could that change the dynamic in that race? Because it's so close to the election, because Virginia has so many federal workers. Sure. Yeah, I mean, like, I could buy that. I think the idea that this is going to reset the 2026 midterms broadly is probably not right. But I just put a pin in that because of the proximity to the election and the geography of our area and how many federal workers there are.
Want to turn our focus to Pete Hegseth, who, as you both know, called this group from all over the world of military leaders and delivered a rousing speech to them. What do you think was the calculation behind having that kind of event gathering in the midst of this shutdown talk?
Is that for me?
Yeah, go ahead,
Look, my guess is it has to do as much with recruiting as anything else. They are trying to sort of reset what they call the ethos there. They've had some decent recruiting numbers, as I understand it, since Trump is taking office. They did get the attention that they want. There's obviously been a great deal of media attention on this, so it's an opportunity for them. Donald Trump is one of the best media managers you're ever going to see, and it's sort of flowing through his administration. They picked the biggest pulpit they could have, and if he had given this speech in Muncie, Indiana, not that many people would have covered it, but by calling all of these generals in from all over the world to hear the speech, they got more attention. I don't know the harm in it. I don't know how effective it's going to be, but I think they're trying to drive a message. Look, there's different leadership in charge now. If you don't like it, I thought the one takeaway was that the line that Hegseth said that if anything I'm saying bothers you, you need to quit. I think that was sort of the message they were trying to deliver to the generals. The rest of the message was to the broader country, which is there's new management at the DOD.
Chris, real quick, can you weigh in on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think for the cost and the security concerns, it's a little odd to do, but I'm broadly with Mick. I mean, look, Pete Hegseth is a TV guy. Donald Trump is a TV guy. They get message. And so the message here is clear. There's a new sheriff in town. Things are going to be done differently. Woke and DI are out. And I won't swear, but kicking butt is in. That's what they want people to take from this, period.
One last very hard-hitting question. Pete Hegseth said there should be no beardos in the military. You are both clean-shaven. What is your take on beardos in the military?
Go ahead, Mick.
I've got absolutely nothing.
Mick Mulvaney, speechless. Never seen that before. Guys, thank you so much for your time. We will check back in with you next week. Hopefully the government will be open. We'll have some different topics to talk about, but thanks again.